John Granato and Lance Zierlein here talking some Texans football. We are on mornings on ESPN 97.5 and ESPN 92.5. Lance is already dabbing. He knows how good this is going to be.
Yeah, it's about to be really good.
Let's play alternate universe.
Okay.
Alternate universe. Bill O'Brien tries to get Brian Gaine fired, and Cal says, no, we're not getting rid of Brian Gaine. How different would this team be right now if Brian Gaine had stayed on and had authority as GM and Bill O'Brien would still be the coach? Where would this organization be?
First thing they would have done is hung on to Jadeveon Clowney, which would have been a substantially different move. They would have hung on to Jadeveon Clowney. I do not believe the trade for Tunsil. It definitely wouldn't have looked the same. The question is, could they have still done that move? But it may have still happened, but it would have looked different. They would have had a deal done in advance. Tunsil would probably be making in the $1,800 to $19 million range.
I don't believe it would have happened, period.
It very well may not have, because if the Dolphins said we want more. Now, if the Texans could have traded one first for Tunsil, they would have had to still given up additional picks. And maybe that would have happened. I still think there's a chance it would have happened. There's no way I don't see them giving up 2 first-round picks. I think the other thing is I don't know that – well, the other thing is DeAndre Hopkins could have very well been gone for financial purposes, because if you had done Jadeveon Clowney, you're right. I don't think you could do Laramie Tunsil financially and keep DeAndre Hopkins. So even if – while I do know there was an issue with personalities between Bill O'Brien and Hopkins, there is still some validity to the fact that if you pay Hop what he wants, you really are going to have issues cap-wise with getting, Deshaun done at the time when he got done. So I'm not sure Hop would still be here, but we would have seen a much better haul for DeAndre Hopkins. You wouldn't have seen Brandon Cooks here, I don't think. And I think you would have seen them draft a wide receiver with the first pick of the second round last year, with or without Hopkins.
I think he would have done. I think Brian Gaine would have done something much more intelligent than Tunsil. Trent Williams was out there. You could have grabbed and given up whatever. You would still have your first 2-round picks this year. You wouldn't have given up a second for Kenny Stills. No. You probably don't have Tunsil, but you could have been, whatever. You might have found a left tackle here in either of these drafts. Now,
would he have been working with Bill O'Brien's still the head coach, right?
Bill O'Brien's still the head coach.
Okay, so Bill O'Brien has input, and I think Bill O'Brien's input is why Tunsil. I still think Tunsil would have been here if the Dolphins would have been okay with a different package.
But maybe Bill O'Brien wasn't the one that was out there shopping with the Dolphins.
Do the deal!
Or maybe Bill O'Brien didn't even know Tunsil was up for sale, or Brian Gaine would have come back and said, no, they want 2 ones, and we're not doing that. Whatever the case may be, and if he brought in a Trent Williams or somebody else that would have placated Bill for a while. Now, maybe the D-Hop deal. Actually, where would your draft next year be if you traded D-Hop? Where would this upcoming draft be? You might have a couple of ones instead of no ones or a 2 right now.
Yeah,
because you'd still have your 1, and you would have gotten a 1 for D-Hop.
You would have got a 1 from somebody. Yeah, you would have got a 1 from somebody, or it would have been a package of multiple 2s, something like that, a player and 2 2s, not a player like David Johnson. I mean, it would have looked different than it looked. I can promise you that, what the Texans did. And you also have to say if Chris Olsen had stayed with the Texans, because Chris Olsen, any of the extensions that got done, of course, some of them were on his watch. Obviously, the Whitney Merciless was on his watch. Nick Martin was on his watch. Chris Olsen was actually here. Actually, Laramie Tunsil, was he here still when the deal got done? Because I know he didn't. I know there's talk, at least scuttlebutt, that he was not a big fan of doing that trade unless a deal was done in advance for Tunsil. So there's no question Texans fans would be able to watch this year's first or second round of the draft and seen players picked without question.
Well, and there's a show out called The Undoing. The Undoing for Bill O'Brien was his hunger for power. I don't think that there's any question, because it all unraveled because Bill O'Brien was so power hungry and got Brian Gaine out of that building. Now, would this have happened if Bob McNair was still alive?
No. I think Bob McNair would not have been okay with. I think that Brian Gaine would still be in a position. He would not fire somebody after a year. He wouldn't be on his third GM in 3 years. That would have never happened. Paying 2 GMs who are not even your GMs anymore at the same time, that never would have happened. I just don't think he would have said, we have to get along or whatever the case may be. But I think he would have ultimately had Brian Gaine there a minimum of 2 years.
So we always say it starts at the top, and there's no question, because if Cal had, stayed the course, if Cal had said, no to Bill O'Brien, if Cal had said, no, we're going to do it this way instead of your way, it changed the course of history for this Houston Texans team, and not in a good way. In a horrific way. And it's all because of that decision. It could all come down to that one decision of getting rid of Brian Gaine. Now, on the other side of that coin, Lance, is it worth giving Bill O'Brien that GM role because now he's totally out of the building? To me, Bill O'Brien, the coach, wasn't all that bad. Although he as a face of this franchise was not a great thing for Texans fans. But now that he's totally gone and out of the building, it's actually, there's a big sigh of relief, isn't there?
Ask me the actual question you were going to ask me. Go ahead.
Was it what?
Was it worth it? Go
ahead.
What
are you talking about?
Was it worth it? Go ahead.
So, Lance, was it worth it?
No, it was not worth it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.